Welcome to the Flight Levels. You've been dreaming of this moment for years. You've browsed countless classifieds, saved up that down payment, and maybe, just maybe, the spouse finally gave the green light. Now it's time to decide. Are you buying a sports car or an airplane? What an awesome problem to have, right? But seriously, which one is actually better? Having owned both, today I'm diving deep into the good, the bad, and even the ugly of owning a high-performance sports car versus a personal airplane. Let's get to it. Before we take off, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. It's a huge help. It tells YouTube you dig what I'm doing and helps them share it with more enthusiasts like you. All right, with that out of the way, let's start on the ground with a car I absolutely loved. My journey into dedicated sports car ownership starts with a 2016 BMW M235i. This was that sweet spot sitting between the standard 228i and the full-blown M2. I'd always dreamed of a pure sports car. I'd had some fun rides before. I had a 94 Acura Integra GSR and a 2001 Audi A4. But it was time for something with an extra kick. My must-haves? Rear-wheel drive and a 3-pedal stick shift. That narrowed the field quite a bit back then, but the BMW 2 Series was the perfect fit. I considered the M2, but the price premium was just out of reach. The M235i though? It had plenty of power from its 3-liter turbocharged straight-six. Even as a two-door, it boasted a surprisingly generous backseat and trunk. One amazing perk back in 2016 was free scheduled maintenance for the first 50,000 miles. And get this, it even included wear items like brake pads. More on that hilarious bit in a minute. Honestly, I don't have many bad things to say about the car. If I'm being super picky, this was one of the first BMWs to pipe fake engine sounds through the audio system. It was a blessing and a curse. On one hand, I have to admit, the fake sounds were really good. I liked them. On the other hand, the principle of it just felt sacrilegious. One of my first YouTube videos ever was me driving around giving it the beans with the system on and off. I'm rolling my eyes now because I barely put any work into that video and ended up getting over 1,000 views. Apparently that active noise system was a hot topic. So, what do you do when you buy a new BMW with over 300 horsepower and a stick shift? You take it to the track. I found a group called Hooked on Driving, which offers track days at incredible venues like Laguna Seca. Depending on the event, they even have driving instructors to guide you into high-performance driving on open tracks. In preparation for my first track day, I called my insurance provider to see if I would be covered. I expected them to laugh and say, "Are you crazy?" Instead, they asked a very direct question. "Will you be racing?" To which I said, "No." And this is a crucial distinction most track day groups emphasize. There is no winning, there's no timing, there are no prizes. These are just open track days. You're just driving, possibly very fast, on a closed course. There are zero references to any kind of a race. Given that, my insurance company said I'd be covered. Sweet! At my first Laguna Seca track day, I signed up for the First Timers group, which pairs you up with driving instructors. We started with braking and car control exercises in the parking lot, then began learning the racing line with our instructors. As the day progressed, we gradually increased our speeds, delayed our braking, and had an absolute blast. I made some interesting observations I didn't expect. The car's responsiveness changes with each lap. As the brake fluid heats up, the pressure you apply to the pedal for each corner changes. Just when you think you've got it, you have to adjust. The same thing with the tires. As they heat up, their grip for braking and turning changes. In sessions where you're really pushing it, feeling the brake pedal get mushy as a corner approaches at 100 miles an hour is an interesting sensation. Another interesting observation? How safe I felt on the track. Even though you're driving over 100 miles an hour with other cars just feet in front of and behind you, everything is predictable. When all participants are well trained and have a vested interest in not crashing, It's very safe and exciting. Although it might look like a mad dash, all drivers are using similar braking zones and racing lines. There are dedicated passing zones, and depending on your group, rules about signaling passing. Compare that to driving on the interstate with some knucklehead weaving through traffic going 50 miles an hour faster than everyone else. Beyond the track, that car was great for everyday use. It got reasonable fuel economy, was very quiet and comfortable, and had a ton of storage. It really was a fantastic all-rounder. Fast and fun when you wanted it, smooth and quiet when you needed it. Now let's talk about my airplane. If you haven't seen my other video, Who is Joe and What is he doing here? Go check out that one for my full airplane ownership story. After flight instructing with flying clubs for a few years, I wanted more say in the maintenance of the planes I was flying. With some luck, I found a 1974 Piper Warrior for sale in Denver. It was the right price for the right condition. If a 172 had popped up similarly, I might have grabbed that instead. For my mission, it was perfect. It's a great plane to teach private, instrument, and commercial pilot applicants in. For personal use, it had just the right amount of performance and useful load. We could do a whole other video on aircraft performance in Colorado, but suffice it to say, it was fantastic for flying my wife and me to high altitude destinations like Buena Vista, Steamboat Springs, Gunnison, and even Telluride. As our family grew and we moved to California, we regularly flew near max takeoff weight from Livermore to Truckee and back with luggage, our daughter, and our yellow lab. It was a true workhorse for our family adventures. Okay, so let's get into the main event. Which one is better? We're going to break this down by a few key categories. First up, family preference. This is an easy win for the airplane. My wife absolutely loved getting to destinations in half the time as the car. On a holiday weekend, flying was infinitely more enjoyable for her compared to sitting in interstate traffic. Now, if we're talking about flying around, going nowhere in particular, she could care less. For her, it was all about actually getting somewhere efficiently. My wife did join me for a track day once. I was excited to show off how great of a driver I am at the track, and then, well, you can see for yourself.
Actually, babe.
You want to get out this one?
Yeah.
You got it. Yep, that's fine. We'll take it easy.
Sorry.
That's okay. Are you okay?
Really nauseous.
Yeah, the car loses this one pretty definitely on the family preference front. Next category, everyday practicality. And here, the plane loses hard. There are so many great cars, including mine, that perfectly balance a back seat, trunk space, and amazing performance. They can be used every day as practical tools. Unless you buy a tiny Miata, the sports car wins this easily. Unless you're flight instructing in your airplane a few days a week, your plane just isn't going to get much daily use. Now for the money talk, depreciation. Luckily, the airplane makes a solid comeback here. Most airplanes, especially popular used makes and models like Pipers and Cessnas, hold their value extremely well. A brand new $1 million plus Cirrus? Yeah, that will probably depreciate. But a 50-year-old Piper? Not so much. New cars, on the other hand, almost certainly will lose value over time. Maybe if you get your hands on a pristine air-cooled Porsche 993, you might have an exception. But if that's you, you probably already own that and a new Cirrus. What about maintenance? Let's start with the car. Most modern cars are exceptionally reliable, and my BMW was no exception. Over the 70,000 miles I owned it, I only performed routine oil and filter changes, engine and cabin air filter replacements, spark plugs, and brake pads, rotors, and fluid replacement. But it gets even better. Maintenance for the first 50,000 miles was covered by BMW. Seriously, I doubt you'll find a deal like that again, but it was the case when I bought it new in 2016. Now, remember when I said more on those free brake pads? Well, after 2 track days and just 22,000 miles, I brought the car into the dealership for its second oil change. The maintenance rep seemed genuinely confused. He said the brake pads were showing exceptionally low, but he agreed to replace them. I just said, huh, that's weird. How about that? Thanks, BMW. Then there's the plane. For those of you who aren't pilots, we need to at least touch on some regulations regarding airplanes and their required maintenance. This isn't a comprehensive discussion, but even if an airplane has nothing mechanically wrong with it, regulations require a comprehensive inspection by a certified mechanic at least every 12 months. Since I was using the plane for flight instruction, I needed this inspection performed about 3 times each year. Unfortunately, airplanes rarely have nothing wrong with them. In the 7 years I owned the plane, I had to cough up parts and labor for all of those inspections, plus replace several plastic fairings, several windows, fuel lines, batteries, battery cables, alternators, voltage regulators, the tachometer, a complete overhaul of the engine, propeller, magnetos, fuel tanks, and a full repainting. And that's just a few things. Not to mention oil and filter changes every 50 hours. Unfortunately, 50-year-old airplanes constantly need attention. If you are not prepared for the financial aspect of airplane maintenance, it can be an emotional drain. It's clear to say the car is the winner on maintenance. Finally, let's talk about the most subjective, yet arguably most important category. How much fun is each one to drive or fly? The enjoyment I get when flying an airplane has definitely changed over the years. When it was new to me, even sitting in the cockpit without the engine running was a thrill. As I've gotten older and flown a few thousand hours, it's different now. The idea of just going out to the practice area to fly around doesn't sound like fun to me anymore. The most fun I have as a pilot now is when I volunteer for a mission with Angel Flight West. When you actually have a goal and a mission for your flight, that makes it so much more enjoyable to me. Airplanes are very fun to fly, but if you have never driven a sports car in a closed track, you are truly missing out. It's not just the sensation of driving over 100 miles an hour on the straightaways, which is fun. It's finding out how brave you are, keeping your foot buried in the accelerator, watching for your next braking point. It's the satisfaction of nailing a racing line around a difficult corner. It's all your years of practicing heel and toe downshifting to perfectly nail a 3-2 shift just before driving down Laguna Seca's corkscrew. A 20-minute track session is a combination of adrenaline, fear, intense concentration, and pure excitement all rolled into one. When you're flying, you don't get the sensation of speed in the same way. On a track, everything is right there. The other cars are a few feet in front of you and behind you. The wall is right next to you, and each corner comes at you as fast as you dare. The sense of imminent danger is very apparent and very exciting. So for me, the car wins on the sheer fun factor for pure thrills. But I will admit, if you had asked me this question when I was a student pilot, it would have been the airplane. So I'm calling this one a draw overall, depending on your phase of life and what you seek. Okay, Joe, so which one do you like more? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have a boring answer. It all depends on what's important to you right now. That's the one I like more. Do you have access to a second home near the beach or the mountains? Then an airplane is likely going to bring you and your family a lot of joy. On the other hand, do you have enough free time and spare cash for tires and brake pads? And a thirst for pure driving acceleration? Then a sports car may be the ticket. For me, my priorities in life have currently taken me to a place where I'm enjoying the dad life. But I can still reflect back on the amazing days of owning both an airplane and a sports car. Who knows, maybe I will find myself as an owner again one day. What about you? Tell me in the comments below, which one would you rather have, sports car or airplane? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, head over to flight-levels.com. Remember, don't just fly, climb to the flight levels. If you enjoyed this video, click here to see part 2 of my series on advanced communication techniques with ATC. You're gonna love it.